Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome to my first encounter with an Invicta. Now this brand gets so much hate dumped on it from all quarters on the online watch community, perhaps because of models like this, or my personal favourite, this one. But hey look, if that's what floats your horological boat, don't let me or anyone else stop you. But today we're going to look at one of their slightly more sensible models, a very popular Rolex Submariner homage. But this one is not my watch. This belongs to fellow Australian YouTuber Ivan over at Perth Watch. If you're not already a subscriber of Ivan's, you should be. The man knows his stuff. He does a multi-tier dive watch video, already got over 130,000 views. Well worth checking it out. Big thank you to Ivan for sending me this Invicta, and also an Orient Curator, that video coming up very soon. Alright, let's flip the camera and get into this one, see what all the hate's about. So there it is then, no box with this one because it is a used example. Please bear that in mind. There are a number of scuffs and scratches here and there, but I guess that gives you an idea of what one of these watches looks like with a bit of wear and tear on it. So dimensions and specifications to begin with, then I'm going to pop it on the wrist, see how it wears, before we zoom in, have a look at some of the rough edges and perhaps the areas that aren't quite as good as you would like them to be, but all links in the description here, by the way. $75 US for the blue one, just a little more than that for the black model, 105 Canadian, and under 70 quid for one of these. Just an amazing price, amazing set of specifications for the money. So classic Submariner homage dimensions on this one then, 40mm diameter excluding the crown, just under 14mm thick, so fairly chunky little thing, 46mm lug to lug, 20mm lug width, weighing in at 140 grams on the bracelet, perhaps then 10 to 15 grams lighter than you would expect, but not a problem as far as I'm concerned. We've got a screw down crown, 316L stainless steel case and bezel. A proper 200 meter water resistance on this one, which is fantastic to see, especially at this bargain basement price point. We do have mineral crystal though, so I guess that's one major weakness of this watch. Looking through some of these Amazon comments, the glass seems to be the weak point. Some stories there of glass shattering and so on. But mineral crystal, not too bad, and certainly not unexpected at the price point. You've got a date complication there at the 3 o'clock. Cyclops, I have to say, perhaps not aligned perfectly. Again, one of the rough edges, but not too bad. Now the lume, also not one of its strengths. I'll pop up a lume shot there. You know, alright, but not fantastic. Now if we zoom in on the dial, that's about as close as I can get. There's kind of a sunburst effect here, or at least there should be, but it's a little bit rough. The dial is flat, kind of semi-applied indices, not much depth to them. But we do have an applied Invicta logo there at the 12 o'clock, and a nice little touch, the Invicta logo on the counterbalance. So some nice little features on this watch, well above what you'd expect at this price point. I'm not a big fan of this inscription on the case. Mind you, Squally do it, Hamilton do it, so Invicta are by no means the only guilty parties here, but you know, something I could have done without, certainly. The bracelet, as I said, is used, so polished mid-links always scratch up a little quicker than brushed in my experience anyway, and there's a few scuffs on this one. But, you know, the bracelet is certainly not the disgrace that I thought it might be. Really nice, deep etched Invicta logo on the clasp. As you'd expect at this price point, it is a press clasp and there is a bit of flex there. But as I said, it's a used example, reasonable finishing. You even get a little bit of an Invicta logo there on the back of the mid-links. But pop one of those links on the bracelet and you're greeted with what is undoubtedly the star of the show. See-through caseback, Seiko NH35A movement. Now, these NH35s are great entry-level 3 Hz movements. you can find them in some really expensive micro brand watches costing 2, 3, 4, even $500 US. So to find one in an Invicta for under $80 represents a bit of a bargain. 24 joule, as it says there, 21,600 vibrations per hour, 6 ticks per second. There's even a little bit of decoration on the movement and a personalised Invicta Watch Company logo with some Geneva striping. Again, a little bit of finishing there on the rotor. You really can't knock that back at this price. Quite remarkable. Now, no timing screen. I think this one took a bump on the way over from Perth. It didn't come in its original box, but my only other experience of the NH35 was in the Bomb Frog recently. That one ran very, very consistently at plus 12. I'm looking forward. I've got a Collins watch from California coming up with the NH35. Looking forward to seeing this movement in action on a couple more timepieces. And there you are, not solid end links on the bracelet. They are solid links though, perfectly in keeping with a watch at this price. And there it is, sitting on top of my 7-inch wrist. I think it looks pretty good. You know, classic subby proportions, decent weight to it, sits and wears pretty nicely. I think you can get away with one of these 40mm sub homages if you have smaller wrists than mine, maybe down to 6 inches even, right up to 8.5 inches for the big boys. So rough edges then, what are you not getting for your $75? Well, the brushed finish on those lugs is pretty rough, so rough in fact that I called it out without seeing this watch in the subby homage roundup video that I did a while ago. This one came in at number 5, the cheapest offering there. The Cyclops, also not really where it should be. I think that one's a little low and a little squinty. Bezel action is alright, but this scallop thing is useless. If you're into one of these, get the coin edge. I think they're kind of mixing their metaphors, doing a subby homage with a Omega style bezel on it, and it doesn't work for me visually. It's also bloody impossible to actually use the thing. So I would say avoid this scallop looking one, definitely go for the coin edge bezel, traditional Submariner style. What else are we not getting? We're not getting solid end links, but again at this price point, can't complain about that one too badly. Lume's not amazing, and that dial is pretty flat. Reminds me of the Quartz Phoebus, the 002, at $100, $120. I think you need to spend a little bit more if you want the textured dials, better handsets that come with slightly more expensive pieces. And I guess the last thing is that mineral crystal, not as strong as sapphire. If this is a beta watch, then perhaps you want to look at something else with sapphire on there. But really, you know, you can't complain at the price. I keep saying it. This is quite remarkable for that level of movement. Decent finishing throughout. The bezel action, when you can turn it, is pretty decent. 200 meters of water resistance. I'd have no problem buying this one as a kind of cheap beta watch, holiday watch. Or if you're on the horological ladder and this is your first step, I think this is a great one. Thoroughly recommended the Invicta. So there you have it, the Invicta then, a bit of a surprise. Well under $100 for a Seiko NH35 and a decent little package in spite of a couple of rough edges. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.